In this video, we're going to demonstrate how we use TEISS to put together the point source section of the mock Level 4 EI. So the first thing you want to do is click on the Reports button to open the report screen of TEISS. On the left side of the screen, under the Point Sources folder, you can see all the different reports that are available for point sources. And you'll notice, as we've pointed out before, those reports that have graphs associated with them have a small pie chart icon next to them. And I encourage you to spend some time playing around with the different reports and decide what would best fit your EI, because it really depends on your reservation what report you use. If you are going to include an entire county in your buffer zone, the by facility top 10 report, which is right here, is a good report for analyzing the NEI county level point source data, because it shows the top 10 facilities in your area. The top 10 meaning the most, the facilities that emit the most pollutants in the area. If your reservation is smaller and you only have a few point sources, like less than 10, that report wouldn't be very useful for you. In that case, you might want to use the by facility report, which is right here. And that's what we're going to be demoing today. And that's how we made the reports that are in the mock Level 4 EI. So in that report, I'm just going to specify the 5 facilities that I identified in my buffer zone. And we're going to talk more about how you put that buffer zone into your TEISS project in the next module. So I'm going to click on 5 facility. And the first screen that comes up is where you specify what county you're in. And since I only imported Coconino County data into this TEISS project, Coconino County is the only county that shows up. So that's good, it's checked. I click on the next button. And this brings up all of the facilities in Coconino County. And I only want to choose the 5 that were in my buffer zone. So I click the Uncheck All button, which is the 2 blank boxes on top of each other. And then I just select those facilities. So since there are only a few facilities, I'm just going to look for them. I'm not going to do a search because there's only 5 and there's only a total of 27 facilities in Coconino County. So finding these 5 is pretty quick and easy. So it's the H.A. Clark Memorial file. Well, this is, it's supposed to be field, but it's truncated. Then there's Sunrise Ranch, and there's Baye, and the EPNG Williams Compressor Station, and the TW Flagstaff Compressor Station, and those are the 5 facilities that were in the buffer zone on my map. So I click on the next button, and in this screen you just want to include the annual emissions, and that's only what's in the TEISS project, so that's fine. And I'm going to leave my reported emissions in unit of tons, so that's good. I click on the next button. So this is the screen I want to specify what pollutants to include. And for my EI, I'm only interested in the criteria pollutants, and TEISS puts those in black font, except for lead, which is in blue font. And I'm only going to select, for particulate matter, I'm only going to select primary PM, since this includes both filterable and condensable PM. So I'm going to go ahead and click those. And lead, and click on the next button. In this screen, I'm going to leave the defaults because I'd like to see the vertical bar chart, and everything else looks fine to me, so I'm going to click on the Finish button. And that brings up the report, and the first page of the report shows the lead emissions for those facilities. And you'll notice here that there's only 3 facilities versus the 5 that I had selected. And the reason for that is because those other 2 facilities did not report lead emissions. And you'll see right here that we have 14 pages in this report. I'm going to click on the next page icon, and what that does is it's going to bring up the chart that's associated with the lead data. Because the chart, when you have a chart in your report, the first page is always the data for that pollutant, and the second page is the chart. So let's see how that looks. And this is the chart. What I'm noticing right off the bat is that we really don't need this legend here, because you can see on the bottom of the screen that that is already told to us, so we don't really need this legend. And the nice thing about these reports is that if there's something you want to change about it, you don't have to start from the beginning. You can just click on the filter button to bring up the filters you specified. There's also these buttons here, and you can quickly change your chart type with these 4 or 5 buttons. This one is an auto size button. We'll be talking more about that later on in this demonstration. This one is a show data labels, and this one is a show legend. And the nice thing about these buttons is you can just toggle back and forth. So if you took off the legend and you decided you want it back, you can just click that button again. So I am going to click that button to take off the legend. And now the legend's off, and I like that much better. So I want to play around with these buttons some more, so I'm going to go to a different chart. So I'm going to go to page 10, which is going to show the PM 2.5 report. I mean the PM 2.5 chart. And what I'd like to see is how this chart looks as a pie chart. So I'm going to click the pie chart icon, and that brings up the chart as a pie chart instead of a bar chart. And what I'm noticing is that these labels up here look pretty crowded. So I'm going to try the auto size button and see if that fixes it. And sometimes this button works great, and other times not so good. So if you happen to click on it and you don't get the results you want, for example, I've seen it where it makes these data labels scroll off the page, and I don't really like to see that in my chart. So if you click on that button and you don't like the results, you can just click on it again, and it will go back to the way it was. So let's take a look and see if this does anything for us. So the auto size is right here. I'm going to click it, and that looks a lot better. So this time the auto size button worked great. And another thing to mention here is that when you change stuff here, this applies to all of the pollutants. So if I went to the next page, it's not just the PM 2.5 chart this corrects and fixes and changes. It's also the other charts. So just pay attention to that and make sure it's the desired results for all of the charts. And it sometimes takes some playing around to get these charts to look how you want them to look. And one thing you'll notice here is that as opposed to the bar chart, this chart is pretty meaningless without the legend. So I'm going to click this bring back legend button here so I can get my legend back. And now we can see exactly what these colors mean with the legend. But in the long run, I think I like the bar chart better than the pie chart. So I'm going to go back to how it was. So I want to change everything back to how it was when it started. So I'm going to click on the bar chart. Ooh, that's where the auto size does not look so good. So I'm definitely going to turn that auto size off. And then again, I don't need this legend, so I'm going to turn off my legend. So now that I've got the report looking how I want it to look, it's ready to export or save into a different file format so you can get it into your hard copy written EI. So the way to export TEISS reports is to use this button that looks like an envelope here. And when you click on it, it shows first the format. So if you click on the down arrow button here, there's a whole bunch of different formats you can export your report in. And the one I suggest is Microsoft Word, because that's the easiest one to work with in terms of getting your TEISS report into your written EI report. And if you need to edit anything about the TEISS report, such as the font size, you can do that in Microsoft Word. So I'm going to select Microsoft Word, and the destination just leave as disk file. That means it's just being saved to your computer. And then click the OK button. And this export options screen comes up. And this is just asking what pages do you want to include in this report. And you can click all, or you can select just a few pages, but we're just going to leave all pages selected because we want to include them all in our report. So we'll click OK. And this brings up the screen where you need to browse to where you save your files. So make sure you save this in the course folder that you made on your computer. And also please make a note in your TEISS notebook where you saved this file and what name you gave it. So I'm going to go to the folder that I set up for this. And I'm going to give this a more descriptive name so I know what it is. I'm going to do point sources in buffer zone. And then click on the save button. And that's all you need to do to save that file outside of TEISS.